You're getting your chin done, right? I had been saving up for years. I had to walk around looking like a cadaver from the mummy, which is so cunty. Oh my god, girl.
You ruined your face.
It was truly terrible. I'm so sorry. This is so nasty. Hi guys, my name is Jasmine and I'm a new content creator. I've shared a little bit on my channel about my journey with getting facial feminization surgery 1 month ago. Now, if you're just here to see the results of that surgery, I don't want to waste your time. I'm going to throw up some before photos with editing magic. And let me give you a little bit of a side profile. Okay, head on, head back, other side profile. So yes, that is the result. Now, prior to this, I did feel myself getting really into the weeds of information about the surgery, things like how I paid for it, what the recovery was like, things I wish I would have known. So if you're interested in seeing those things, I would love it if you stuck around. But if you are about to click off of this video, please consider giving me a like, a comment, a subscribe, anything to show some support. I don't make any money off of this, you guys, so anything you do to help me with my channel growing, I would just be so thankful. But with that being said, let's get into it. And, editor? Where's my editor? Oh, it's me? Okay, roll the footage. Okay, you guys, so I do have some dinner plans tonight. So I thought I would just do my makeup while I talk about this a little bit, but let's just get into it. For those who don't know what facial feminization surgery is, it basically refers to a long list of different craniofacial reconstructive surgeries that people can get. The list of procedures is really extensive, but some very common procedures for facial feminization surgery include things like forehead contouring, rhinoplasty, there can be fat grafting, their chin work like a sliding genioplasty. It can also include things like a blepharoplasty, a hairline advancement, brow lift. Now, generally, they're usually done on trans women who are seeking to have a more feminine appearance in line with their internal gender identity. So that does get into why I personally wanted to get this surgery. Now, I have been transitioning for close to a decade. It's something I always dreamed of. I thought someday I want this surgery, but I was just so scared. I had no idea how I would pay for it. But I really suffered from a lot of anxiety and facial dysphoria around specifically my forehead. So I thought about it for a very long time, and if you're considering the surgery, I would really consider you to think about it for a long time as well. After many years, I finally had the opportunity to pursue this surgery, and I just decided to go for it finally. It was a very scary decision. I'm not someone who is incredibly financially stable. The idea of paying for it was very uncertain for me. Now, that does actually get into how I did pay for it. I was lucky to finally get on private insurance. I had been saving up for years and I was nowhere near paying for the surgery. For a frame of reference, my specific set of procedures that I went for was quoted at $50,000, not including surgical fees or anesthesia, so it likely would have been closer to $70,000. I was so lucky this past year to get added to a private insurance plan that allowed me to pursue the surgery. Now, getting this covered by private insurance is no easy task either. It is very common to face multiple denials. In my case, I was denied 3 times before it finally got approved. And that was with jumping through several hoops to even have it be considered by insurance. When it finally got approved, I was so relieved. I literally started bawling on the phone when the surgical assistant called me to let me know that it was approved. It was like a pressure was immediately lifted off my shoulders. So luckily with the insurance, I was able to fund the surgery, and I feel so lucky for that. So I know people are going to be curious about what specifically I had done, and I'm happy to let you know. But before I do that, I do just want to say that I went to my surgeon with a very specific plan. I really did my research about this surgery, what it could do for me, and which specific operations I wanted. And if you are considering the surgery, I would very much recommend that you do the same. Look for photos online from people who look like you, who got this surgery. look for their features before and what they look like after. And if you like how they looked and they look like you before, because if they didn't look like you before, it's not going to be reliable. Look at what they had done and start to build a list of the specific procedures you want for your face. And then find a surgeon who specializes in those specific procedures if you're able to. And the last thing I will say before I tell you a little bit more about what I had done is be really prepared to advocate for yourself. This surgery is going to be your surgery. It's about your happiness. So be really prepared to stand up for yourself if you need to advocate for what you want. So with that being said, here is a quick list of what I had done. Now, I only had the top half of my face. I personally did not touch the bottom half of my face or my jaw at this point, and I don't have plans to, but I had a hairline advancement, I had a brow lift, I had a type 3 forehead reconstruction, I had a rhinoplasty, I also had fat transferred from my belly and injected into my under eye, the high points of my cheek, and my lips. It's often said that the upper third of your face is the strongest phenotypical indicator of biological sex. So I really wanted to focus on that area. I didn't want to lose everything that was unique about my face. I wanted to still look like myself, but I wanted to alleviate the mental anguish that was associated with my forehead. Now, I may change my mind about that down the line. Actually, the surgical assistants were like, "You're getting your chin done, right?" They were definitely kind of coming for me, but I don't have any plans for the chin at this point. That might change down the line, but surgery is really no joke. It is serious. And let me actually get into that a little bit. So like all surgery, this surgery is really not to be taken lightly. All surgeries that involve anesthesia, there is a risk of death. Of course, those rates are extremely small, but it is always a risk. For me specifically, since my surgery did involve peeling off my face and cracking open my skull, opening it up, breaking my nose, it was considered medium risk. But yeah, preparing for the surgery was very typical. It's things like no smoking or alcohol for a month, ideally prior to surgery, but minimum 2 weeks. But come on, you guys, if you're gonna get the surgery, take it seriously. And no blood thinning medication a week prior to surgery, which for me included stopping my estrogen, which I was not happy about. And then obviously, no food or liquid the day of surgery. Now, the day of surgery, I honestly was not very nervous at first, which I thought was off. I was like, girl, this is serious. Like, why are we not feeling anxious? But it all started to hit me once I got in the car and I started to actually go to the surgical center. It wasn't negative emotions, it was just a lot of emotion. And I think from the point I got into the surgical prep room and got into those scrubs, through to the point of falling asleep from the anesthesia, I was crying. I could not stop. But then it's like with the snap of a finger, the surgery's done and you're waking up and you have a new face. Now, for me, it was an outpatient procedure. It was about 6 hours under, which is a very long time. But I had to walk my ass out of that surgical center and into the parking garage right after my surgery. And that was a very harrowing experience. Luckily, the pain meds kind of made that first day fly by, but it was rough. And if the first day wasn't rough enough, the first 3 days were probably harder. I'll throw up some photos of what these days looked like. For the first night after surgery, you have a drain going through I think it was the back of my skull. And it's basically collecting all the fat and liquids that are draining out. I'm so sorry. This is so nasty. But I had to go in the second day and get that drain removed, fully conscious, by the way. So the surgeon lays me down on the chair, starts yanking on the tube, and I feel this tube winding from one side of my skull to the other. Because I have an incision from ear to ear and across my forehead. And feeling that thing slide out under my skin, I'm sorry if this is kind of giving body horror, but it was truly terrible. It was also just like this humiliation ritual because I had to walk around looking like a cadaver from the mummy, scaring families. I literally ran into children and I swear they almost started crying. And those first 3 days, it really feels like you're surviving hour to hour. But luckily after that, everything does start getting easier. So the peak of swelling is at day 3. I got my nose cast removed at day 7. That's also when I got my stitches removed. That's about when I started to regain my autonomy as well. Now, there are definitely some things that I wish I would have known going into this surgery. I've kind of touched on this a few times, but this is not an easy process, and I really thought I was tough. I was like, oh yeah, I've had piercings and they've never been a problem. I was sorely mistaken. Nothing could have prepared me. Seeing the face that you've known for decades suddenly change overnight and go through a very grotesque healing process, it puts a lot of mental strain on you, and you really have to trust the process, which is not very easy to do sometimes. This is also a kind of silly thing that I wish I would have known. No one told me specifically that parts of my head were going to be shaved. I'm someone who cares about my hair. Waking up from surgery and realizing that I'm shaved in my hairline down to my ear was just kind of jarring. Another thing that can happen with the surgery, and something I am encountering right now on a moderate scale, is what's called shock hair loss. I am having a lot more hair fall in addition to the shaved head. I'm like, okay, she's bald. It's like I traded confidence in my face for a little bit of a loss of confidence with my hair. Now, I also didn't realize how much breathing would be a challenge. If I sound a little bit nasally, it's because my nose is full of boogers. You cannot blow your nose when you get a rhinoplasty. It's 4 weeks out now, and I still have trouble breathing just because of the residual swelling and tightness, and due to the fact that I can't really blow my nose or do anything about the congestion that's existing. I also did not really consider how much sleep was going to be a challenge. I knew I had to sleep elevated, but it has been 4 weeks and I don't think I've had a good night of sleep once. So I am incredibly sleep deprived. Now, you guys, I don't know if this is TMI. I apologize if it is, but I guess I did not really realize how much anesthesia causes constipation. Now, take the fact that I'm saying this as you will, but it was something that I wish I was aware of. You guys, I'm not exactly sure what I did wrong. I am just hitting buttons here and hoping things turn right. I lost the last several minutes of what I recorded, so it is 4 hours later right now. It's about 11 p.m. and I should be going to bed, but I am gonna really quickly try to finish out some of this video. The last thing that I was gonna mention that I wish I had a better understanding of was just how hard this is mentally. But I underestimated how difficult it is to see your face in a very scary state. There was several moments while I was recovering where I would just look at my face and I'm like, oh my god, girl, you ruined your face. There was definitely moments where I felt like crying, but I was just too physically drained to even do it, and it was hard at times. Now, overall, you guys, I feel really happy with the surgery, and I'm so happy I got it done. It has been a significant boost to my self-confidence already. The anxiety that I had around my forehead is completely dissipated. I feel not only more confident in myself and the way I'm perceived by the world, I know I can push through something extremely challenging. Well, you guys, I think that's all I really have to say on the matter. Again, I need to be going to bed. But if you're still here watching this video, thank you so much. Just think about everything we've been through. This is kind of a long video, so the fact that you're still here, it really means a lot to me. Please consider leaving a comment, liking, subscribing, all of those things. I'm a really small content creator, so there's about a 110% chance I will be seeing that notification, immediately checking it, and then responding. So I hope to see what you have to say, and just thank you so much for being here. But that's all for now. Mwah.